Good morning, Shelly Gang. How are you today? Um, we're gonna start off with the Lord's Prayer, like usual. Let's see if I mess it up. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive those who trespass. Forgive us for our trespasses. Forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. God, please bless and protect this marriage of the Chanderites to Yahweh family from YouTube. Please make their marriage stronger day by day and keep them together happily, loving for eternity. Amen. And let's pray for Jensen from the Millers. He is doing good. I have not watched the videos lately, but it's, Jesus, please look after Jensen Miller and keep him healthy and strong. Thank you. Amen. So, 1, 12, 12, 5110. Yeah. I was just checking on one of the prayers. It said 5110, and I thought I made a mistake, but I didn't. I just went back and checked. Okay, today's prayer is from the same passage, 5112, Psalms. I guess we're going to be memorizing that one. Abba, Father. Well, this is the prayer part. Abba, Father, my heart delights in you. And, Lord, I ask that you would uphold me by your Holy Spirit, who teaches and convicts me to do the right thing in Jesus' name. Amen. Daily verse next. No, we read the chapter next. Do I know anything? Yeah, because I thought I made a mistake. Okay, 5112. Psalms 5112. Restore the joy of your salvation to me and sustain me by giving me a willing spirit. On Sundays, I don't read the whole chapter, so I'll read it again for you. Psalms 51:10. Restore the joy of your salvation to me and sustain me by giving me a willing spirit. Number 13 is, then I will teach you the rebellion your ways, and sinners will return to you. I'm going to highlight that one because I know I read that yesterday too. Okay. Let's see what the, Micah 6:8. Mankind. Wait a minute. Let me just do it this way. Yeah, I already read this. Because I read the whole chapter, book. I mean, mankind. He has told each of what. Let's start over. Tongue tied. Mankind. He has told each of you what is good and what it is the Lord requires of you, to act justly, to love faithfulness, and to walk humbly with your God. Yes. And I believe we're reading, come on. I'll have it read the chapter name for you, because, hold on.
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy. We're reading Deuteronomy. Let's see how many chapters it has, so we'll figure out. I say 8. Yeah. I want to just read 8 today. It's Sunday, so I can take it easy on Sunday. I know usually people read twice as much on Sunday like I used to. I'm like, that's a lot of on the eyes, because I'm gonna read some. I'm gonna read it. So yes, I'm gonna read. Then you're gonna say, okay, click. No, don't click. Stay. Deuteronomy, and it says introduction. Let me just highlight it. Introductions. These are the words Moses spoke to all Israels across the Jordan in the wilderness in the Arabah opposite of Suf, between Saran and Tefel, Laban, Hazarath, and Zareb. It is an 11-day journey from Harab to Kadesh Bernay by way of Mount Seir. In the 40th year, in the 11th month of the first of the month, Moses told the Israelites everything the Lord had commanded him to say to them. This was after he had defeated King Sirhan on the Amorites who lived in Heshbon, and King Og and of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth at Edrei, across the Jordan in the land of Moab. Moses began to explain the law, saying, hold on. The Lord of God spoke to us at Horeb. You have stayed at the mountain long enough. Resume your journey and go to the hill country of the Amorites and their neighbors in the Arab, the hill country, the Judean foothills, the Negev, and the seacoast, to the land of the Canaanites, in the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the Euphrates River. See, I have set the land before you. Enter and take possession of the land the Lord swore to give to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their future descendants. Yeah, let me just highlight a little bit, There we go. I did it. Leaders of the tribes. I said to you at the time, I can't bear the responsibilities for you and my own. The Lord your God has so multiplied you that today you are as numerous as the stars on the sky. The stars of the sky. May the Lord, the God of your fathers, increase you 1,000 times more and bless you as he promised you. But how can I bear your troubles, burdens, and disputes by myself? Appoint for yourself wise, understanding, and respected men from each of your tribes, and I will make them your leaders. You replied to me, what you propose to do is good. So I took the leaders of your tribes, wise and respected men, and set them over you as leaders, commanders for thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, and officers for your tribes. I commanded your judges at that time. Hear the cases between your brothers, and judge rightly between a man and his brother, or his resident alien. Do not show partic- partiality when deciding a case. Listen to small and great alike. Do not be um, intimidated by anyone, for judgment belongs to God. Bring me any case too difficult for you, and I will hear it. At time, at that time, I commanded you about all the things you were to do. I'm getting better. Every section I go and highlight. So talk amongst yourself. It's just easier because if I go and read the chapter another time, I says, oh, I didn't read this, you know. Because I remember one time I didn't outline it and I read it twice, and someone says, you read this, Michelle? It says, oh. Okay. Israel's disobedience at Kadesh Barnea. We then set out for Horeb and went across all the great and terrible wilderness you saw on the way to the hill country of the Amorites, just as the Lord our God had commanded us. When we reached Kadesh Barnea, I said to you, you have reached the hill country of the Amorites, which the Lord our God is giving us. See, the Lord our God has set the land before you. Go up and take possession of it, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has told you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Then all of you approached me and said, let's send men ahead of us, so that they may explore the land for us and bring us back a report about the route we should go up and the cities we will come to. The plan seemed good to me, so I selected 12 men from among you, 1 man from each tribe. They left and went up into the hill country and came to the valley of Eshcol, scouting the land. They took some of the fruit from the land, and the hands carried it down to us and brought us back a report. The land the Lord our God is giving us is good, but you were not willing to go up. You rebelled against the command of the Lord our God. You grumbled in your tents and said, the Lord brought us out of the land of Egypt and handed us over to the Amorites in order to destroy us, because he hates us. Where can we go? Our brothers have made us lost heart, saying the people are larger and taller than we are. The cities are large, fortified to the heavens. We also saw the descendants of the Anakim there. Hold on, let me take a pill. I usually do this before, and I just forgot. There we go. So I said to you, don't be terrified or afraid of them. The Lord your God who goes before you will fight for you, just as you saw him do for you in Egypt, and you saw in the wilderness how the Lord your God carried you as a man carries his son all along the way. You traveled until you reached this place. But in spite of this, you did not trust the Lord your God, who went before you on the journey to seek out a place for you to camp. He went in the fire by night and in the cloud by day to guide you on the road you were to travel. When the Lord heard your words, he grew angry and swore an oath. None of these men in this evil generation will see the good land I swore to give your fathers, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. He will see it, and I will give him and his descendants the lands on which he has set foot, because he remained loyal to the Lord. Let me highlight more. See? Always trust in the Lord. The Lord was angry with me also because of you said you will not enter there either. Joshua, son of Nun, who attends you, will enter it. Encourage him, for he will enable Israel to inherit it. Your children, whom you said would be plunder, your sons who don't yet know good from evil, will enter there. I will give them the land, and they will take possession of it. But you are to turn back and head for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. You answered me, we have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight just as the Lord our God commanded us. Then each of you put on the weapons of war and thought it would be easy to go up in the hill country. But the Lord said to me, tell them, don't go up and fight, for I am not with you to keep you from being defeated by your enemies. So I spoke to you, but you didn't listen. You rebelled against the Lord's command and defiantly went up into the hill country. Then the Amorites who live there came out against you and chased you like a swarm of bees. They routed you from Seir as far as Hermah. When you returned, you wept before the Lord, but he didn't listen to your requests or pay attention to you. For this reason, you stayed in Kadesh as long as you did. Oh, someone came and liked and left. Okay. Yeah, some people will come, like my stream, didn't leave. Well, I did pretty good. Maybe I can handle another chapter. Boop. You know what? Let me just highlight it all now so we can just like read through it. I'm almost there. Oh, I hate when I double click on the one I underline, because it underlines so you can do the whole thing. My other one I had, the other app I had, you had to do one at a time. Alright, are you serious? Boop, all done. Okay, Deuteronomy 2. Journey past year. Then we turned back and headed for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea, as the Lord had told me. And we traveled around the hill country of Seir for many days. The Lord then said to me, "You've been traveling around this hill country long enough. Turn north," commanded the people. "You are about to travel through the territory of your brothers, the descendants of Esau, who lived in Seir. They will be afraid of you, so be very careful. Don't provoke them, for I will not give you any of the land, not even a foot of it. Because I have even, no, because I have given Esau the hill country for Seir as his possession. You may purchase food from them so that you may eat, and buy water from them to drink. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has watched over your journey through his immense wilderness. The Lord your God has been with you this past 40 years, and you have lacked nothing." Sorry. Sorry that I froze. I will read it again because I don't know if the audio, you can hear the audio. I had to plug in my phone. Then we turned back and headed for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. And the Lord had told me, and we traveled around the hill country of Seir for many days. The Lord then said to me, "You've been traveling around this hill country long enough. Turn north," commanded the people. "You are about to travel through the territory." If the audio did come out the first time, fast forward a little bit. "You've been traveling around this hill country long enough. Turn north," commanded the people. "You are about to travel through the territory of your brothers, the descendants of Esau, who lived in Seir. They will be afraid of you, so be very careful. Don't provoke them, for I will not give you any of the land, not even a foot of it, because I have given Esau the hill country of Seir as his possession. You may purchase food from them, so that you may eat, and buy water from them to drink. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has watched over your journey through his immense wilderness. The Lord your God has been with you this past 40 years, and you have lacked nothing." Journey past Moab. So we bypassed our brothers and descendants of Esau who lived in Seir. We turned away from the Arabah road, and from Elath and Ezion Gerber. We traveled along the road to the wilderness of Moab. The Lord said to me, "Show no hostility toward Moab, and do not provoke them to battle, for I will not give you any of their land as a possession, since I have given Ar as a possession to the descendants of Lot. The Emim, a great and numerous people as tall as the Anakim, had previously lived there. They were also regarded as Rephaim, like the Anakim. Through the Moabites called them Emim. The Herites had previously lived in Seir, but the descendants of Esau drove them out, destroying them completely and settling in their place. Just as Israel did in the land of its possession, the Lord gave them. The Lord said, "Now give up and cross the Zered Valley. So we crossed the Zered Valley. The time we spent traveling from Kadesh Barnea until we crossed the Zered Valley was 38 years, until the entire generation of fighting men had perished from the camp. As the Lord had sworn to them, indeed the Lord's hands was given them to eliminate them from the camp until they had all perished. Hello and good morning to whoever joined. Oh, let's take a break. Wow, 3 people, 2 people. And this left nostril is completely blocked. I'll do 2 for now and see how I feel. Well, 1's left. Defeat of... Hey, Angela, how are you? Are you going to be listening? You're good, that's good. Okie dokie, we're on Deuteronomy 2. On verse 24, defeat of Shalem and Amorite. The Lord also said, get up, move out, and cross the Aran Valley. See, I have handed the Amorites, King Sihon of Heshbon, and his land over to you. Begin to take possession of it. Engage him in battle. Today I will begin to put the fear and dread on you, on the people everywhere under heaven. They will hear the report about you, terrible, and be in anguish because of you. So I sent messengers with an offer of peace to King Sihon of Heshbon from the wilderness of Kedemoth, saying, let us travel through your land. We will keep strictly to the highway. We will not turn to the right or the left. You can sell us food in exchange for silver so we may eat, and give us water for silver so we may drink. Only let us travel through on foot, just as the descendants of Azahu who lived in Seir did for us, and the Moabites who lived in Ar, until we crossed the Jordan into the land the Lord our God has given us. But King Sihon of Heshbon wouldn't let us travel through his land, for the Lord your God had made its spirit stubborn and his heart obstinate, in order to hand him over to you, as had now taken place. Then the Lord said to me, see, I have begun to give Sihon and his land to you. Begin to take possession of it. So Sihon and his whole army came out against us for battle at Jahaz. The Lord our God handed him over to us and defeated him, his sons, and his whole army. At that time we captured all his cities and completely destroyed the people of every city, including the women and children. We left no survivors. We took only the livestock and the spoil from the cities. We captured all plunder for ourselves. There was no city that was inaccessible to us. From Aroer on the rim of the Aran valley, along with the city in the valley, even as far as Gilead. The Lord our God gave everything to us, but you did not go near the Amorites' land. All along the bank of the Jabbok River, the cities of the hills country, or any place that the land that the Lord our God had forbidden. Did you write something down? So stuffed up. Let me take my allergy pill. Maybe that will just open everything up. Whoa. I want one allergy pill. I get 10. It's my Flonase. It says 1 to 2 sprays in each nostril. This one's clear, so maybe I should put it in that one too. Maybe it'll go in another one. Let me highlight this, Angela. Okay, I'm done. Deuteronomy 3. Defeat of Og of Bashan. Then we turned and went up the road to Bashan, and King Og of Bashan came out against us with his whole army to do battle at Edrei. But the Lord said to me, do not fear him, for I have handed him over to you along with his whole army and his land. Do to him as you did to King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon. So the Lord our God also handed over King Og of Bashan and his whole army to us. He struck him until there was no survivor left. We captured all his cities at that time, there wasn't a city that we didn't take from them. 60 cities, the entire region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these were fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a large number of rural villages. We completely destroyed them as we had done to King Sihon of Heshbon, destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But we took all the livestock and the spoil from the cities as plundered for ourselves. The land of the Transjordan tribes. At that time we took the land from the 2 Amorites, kings across the Jordan, from the Aran Valley as far as Mount Hermon, which the Sidonians call Servion, but the Amorites call Senir. All the cities of the plateau, Gilead, and Bashan, as far as Sileka and Adrei. Cities of Og, kingdom of Bashan. Only King Og of Bashan was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. His bed was made of iron. Isn't it in Rabbah of the Amorites? It is 13.5 feet long and 6 feet wide for a standard measure. That's a big bed. At the time we took possession of the land, I gave to the Reubenites and Gadites the area extended from Aurora by the uh, no, Arnon Valley in half the hill country of Gilead along with its cities. I gave to half the tribe of Manasseh the rest of the Gilead and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, the entire region of Argob, the whole territory of Bashan, used to be called the land of the Rephaim. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, took over the entire region of Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites and Machatherites. He called Bashan by his own name, Jer's village, as it is today. I gave Gilad to Meshir, and I gave to the Reubenites and Gadites that area extended from Gilead to the Iran Valley. The middle of the valley was the border, and up to the Jabbok River, the border of the Amorites. The Araba and Jordan are also borders from Chinnereth as far as the sea of the Araba, the Dead Sea under the slopes of Pisgah on the east. I commanded you at the time. The Lord your God has given us the land to possess. All your valiant men will cross over the battle formation ahead of your brothers. There is Israelites. Oh, Israelites. But your wives' dependents in livestock, I know that you have a lot of livestock, will remain in the city I have given you, until the Lord gives rest to your brothers, as he has to you, and they also take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving them across the Jordan. Then each of you may return to the possession that I have given you. After this, hey Ashley. Hey, oh Gemma. Hi Gemma, how are you? I didn't know you were here. My head was down. But after this chapter, I'm going to put on the auto, because I'm reading words wrong. Okay. Yeah, like I said, after this, I'm done with this chapter, I'm going to put the auto on. I commanded Joshua at that time, your own eyes have seen everything the Lord your God has done to these two kings. The Lord will do the same to all the kingdoms you are about to enter. Don't be afraid of them, for the Lord your God fights for you. At that time I begged the Lord God, you have begun to show your greatness and your strong hand to your servant. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can perform deeds and mighty acts like yours? Please let me cross over and see the beautiful land on the other side of the Jordan and good hill country in Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me because of you and would not listen to me. The Lord said to me, that's enough. Do not speak to me again about the matter. Go to the top of Pisgah and look to the west, north, south, and east, and see it with your own eyes, for you will not cross the Jordan, but commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will cross over ahead of the people and enable them to inherit this land that you will see. So we stayed in the valley facing Peth Peor. Hey Jimmy, you want to check this guy out that just came in the chat, or Ashley? Okay, he's a real person. Uh, Techno Snipe, what's with the face? If you don't like the devotions, you don't have to stay.
Chapter 4. Now, Israel, listen to the statutes and ordinances I am teaching you to follow, so that you may live, enter, and take possession of the land the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You must not add anything to what I command you, or take anything away from it, so that you may keep the commands of the Lord your God.
The emoji you put, yeah, that one. What does that mean? I'm just asking. Oh, that spray. Once it goes through your nose. I'll follow you. Why not? Can always use more followers. Get a cool channel. I have to check it out later. Okay, forgive me. I tend to overreact, so just ignore my. I'm gonna get going.
Your eyes have seen what the Lord did at Baal Peor, for the Lord your God destroyed every one of you who followed Baal of Peor. But you who have remained faithful to the Lord your God are all alive today. Look, I have taught you statutes and ordinances, as the Lord my God has commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering to possess. Carefully follow them, for this will show your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the peoples. When they hear about all these statutes, they will say, "This great nation is indeed a wise and understanding people." For what great nation is there that has a God near to it, as the Lord our God is to us whenever we call to him? And what great nation has righteous statutes and ordinances, like this entire law I set before you today? Only be on your guard, and diligently watch yourselves, so that you don't forget the things your eyes have seen, and so that they don't slip from your mind as long as you live. Teach them to your children and your grandchildren. The day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, the Lord said to me, "Assemble the people before me, and I will let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and may instruct their children." You came near and stood at the base of the mountain, a mountain blazing with fire into the heavens, and enveloped in a totally black cloud. Then the Lord spoke to you from the fire. You kept hearing the sound of the words, but didn't see a form. There was only a voice. He declared his covenant to you. He commanded you to follow the 10 Commandments, which he wrote on 2 stone tablets. At that time the Lord commanded me to teach you statutes and ordinances for you to follow in the land you were about to cross into and possess. Diligently watch yourselves, because you
Thank you. I'll be following you too.
did not see any form on the day the Lord spoke to you out of the fire at Horeb. So you don't act corruptly and make an idol for yourselves in the shape of any figure, a male or female form, or the form of any animal on the earth, any winged creature that flies in the sky. any creature that crawls on the ground, or any fish in the waters under the earth. When you look to the heavens and see the sun, moon, and stars, all the stars in the sky, do not be led astray to bow and worship to them and serve them. The Lord your God has provided them for all people everywhere under heaven. But the Lord selected you and brought you out of Egypt's iron furnace to be a people for his inheritance, as you are today. The Lord was angry with me on your account. He swore that I would not cross the Jordan and enter the good land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. I won't be crossing the Jordan, because I am going to die in this land. But you are about to cross over and take possession of this good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you, and make an idol shape of anything he has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When you have children and grandchildren, and have been in the land a long time, and if you act corruptly, make an idol in the form of anything, and do what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, angering him, I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you today, that you will quickly perish from the land you are about to cross the Jordan to possess. You will not live long there, but you will certainly be destroyed. The Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be reduced to a few survivors among the nations where the Lord your God will drive you. There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see, hear, eat, or smell. But from there you will search for the Lord your God, and you will find him when you seek him with all your heart and all your soul. When you are in distress, and all these things have happened to you, in the future you will return to the Lord your God and obey him. He will not leave you, destroy you, or forget the covenant with your fathers that he swore to them by oath, because the Lord your God is a compassionate God. Indeed, ask about the earlier days that preceded you, from the day God created mankind on the earth, and from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything like this great event ever happened? Or has anything like it been heard of? Has a people heard God's voice speaking from the fire as you have, and lived? Or has a God attempted to go and take a nation as his own out of another nation, by trials, signs, wonders, and war, by a strong hand and an outstretched arm, by great terrors, as the Lord your God did for you in Egypt, before your eyes? You were shown these things so that you would know that the Lord is God. There is no other besides him. He let you hear his voice from heaven to instruct you. He showed you his great fire on earth, and you heard his words from the fire. Because he loved your fathers, he chose their descendants after them, and brought you out of Egypt by his presence and great power, to drive out before you nations greater and stronger than you, and to bring you in and give you their land as an inheritance, as is now taking place. Today, recognize and keep in mind that the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth below. There is no other. Keep his statutes and commands, which I am giving you today, so that you and your children after you may prosper, and so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities across the Jordan to the east. Someone could flee there who committed manslaughter, killing his neighbor accidentally without previously hating him. He could flee to one of these cities and stay alive. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau land, belonging to the Reubenites. Ramoth in Gilead, belonging to the Gadites. Or Golan in Bashan, belonging to the Manassites.
Well, I didn't say where I'm reading from, Ashley and Gemma. I'm reading from Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4. I'm sorry. Um, well, I'm almost on Deuteronomy 5.
This is the law Moses gave the Israelites. These are the decrees, statutes, and ordinances Moses
Sure,
proclaimed
get
to them
fixed till
after
late.
they came out of Egypt, across the Jordan in the valley facing Beth Peor, in the land of King Sihon of the Amorites. He lived in Heshbon, and Moses and the Israelites defeated him after they came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land, and the land of Og, king of Bashan, the two Amorite kings who were across the Jordan to the east, from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Valley, as far as Mount Sion, that is Hermon, and all the Arabah on the east side of the Jordan, as far as the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. Chapter 5. Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, Israel, listen to the statutes and ordinances I am proclaiming as you hear them today. Learn and follow them carefully. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Horeb. He did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with all of us who are alive here today. The Lord spoke to you face to face from the fire on the mountain. At that time I was standing between the Lord and you to report the word of the Lord to you, because you were afraid of the fire and did not go up the mountain. And he said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place
It's
of
listening
slavery.
up.
Do not have other gods besides me. Do not make an idol for yourself in the shape of anything in the heavens above, or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth. Do not bow in worship to them, and do not serve them, because I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the father's iniquity to the third and fourth generations
This
of
is the Ten
those who
Commandments.
hate me, but showing faithful love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commands. Do not misuse the name of the Lord your God, because the Lord will not leave anyone unpunished who misuses his name. Be careful to remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. You are to labor 6 days, and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Do not do any work, you, your son or daughter, your male or female slave, your ox or donkey, any of your livestock, or the resident alien who lives within your city gates, so that your male and female slaves may rest as you do. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out of there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. That is why the Lord your God has commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live long, and so that you may prosper in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not give dishonest testimony against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, or desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male or female slave, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. The Lord spoke these commands in a loud voice to your entire assembly from the fire, cloud, and total darkness on the mountain. He added nothing more. He wrote them on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. All of you approached me with your tribal leaders and elders when you heard the voice from the darkness, and while the mountain was blazing with fire. You said, Look,
Oh, I went
the
right
Lord
up
our
here.
God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice from the fire. Today we have seen that God speaks with a person, yet he still lives. But now, why should we die? This great fire will consume us, and we will die if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any longer. For who out of all mankind has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the fire, as we have, and lived? Go near and listen to everything the Lord our God says. Then you can tell us everything the Lord our God tells you. We will listen and obey. The Lord heard your words when you spoke to me.
Oh,
He
that's
said to
better.
me, I have heard the words that these people have spoken to you. Everything they have said is right. If only they had such a heart to fear me and keep all my commands always, so that they and their children would prosper forever. Go and tell them, return to your tents. But you stand here with me, and I will tell you every command, the statutes and ordinances you are to teach them, so that they may follow them in the land I am giving them to possess. Be careful to do as the Lord your God has commanded you. You are not to turn aside to the right or the left. Follow the whole instruction the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live, prosper, and have a long life in the land you will possess. Chapter 6. This is the command, the statutes and ordinances the Lord your God has commanded me to teach you, so that you may follow them in the land you are about to enter and possess. Do this so that you may fear the Lord your God all the days of your life, by keeping all his statutes and commands I am giving you, your son and your grandson, and so that you may have a long life. Listen, Israel, and be careful to follow them, so that you may prosper and multiply greatly, because the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you a land flowing with milk and honey. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord, is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These words that I am giving you today are to be in your heart. Repeat them to your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them be a symbol on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your city gates. When the Lord your God brings you into the land he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he would give you, a land with large and beautiful cities that you did not build, houses full of every good thing that you did not fill them with, cisterns that you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And when you eat and are satisfied, be careful not to forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. Fear the Lord your God, worship him, and take your oaths in his name. Do not follow other gods, the gods of the peoples around you. For the Lord your God who is among you is a jealous God. Otherwise, the Lord your God will become angry with you and obliterate you from the face of the earth. Do not test the Lord your God as you tested him at Massa. Carefully observe the commands of the Lord your God, the decrees and statutes he has commanded you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so that you may prosper, and so that you may enter and possess the good land the Lord your God swore to give your fathers, by driving out all your enemies before you, as the Lord has said. When your son asks you in the future, what is the meaning of the decrees, statutes, and ordinances that the Lord our God has commanded you? Tell him, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. Before our eyes the Lord inflicted great and devastating signs and wonders on Egypt, on Pharaoh, and on all his household. But he brought us from there in order to lead us in and give us the land that he swore to our fathers. The Lord commanded us to follow all these statutes, and to fear the Lord our God for our prosperity always, and for our preservation, as it is today. Righteousness will be ours if we are careful to follow every one of these commands before the Lord our God, as he has commanded us. Chapter 7. When the Lord your God brings you into the land you are entering to possess, and he drives out many nations before you, the Hethites, Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and powerful than you, and when the Lord your God delivers them over to you, and you defeat them, you must completely destroy them. Make no treaty with them, and show them no mercy. You must not intermarry with them, and you must not give your daughters to their sons, or take their daughters for your sons, because they will turn your sons away from me to worship other gods. Then the Lord's anger will burn against you, and he will swiftly destroy you. Instead, this is what you are to do to them. Tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars, cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their carved images. For you are a holy people, belonging to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be his own possession out of all the peoples on the face of the earth. The Lord had his heart set on you and chose you, not because you were more numerous than all peoples, for you were the fewest of all peoples, but because the Lord loved you and kept the oath he swore to your fathers. He brought you out with a strong hand and redeemed you from the place of slavery, from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God, who keeps his gracious covenant loyalty for 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commands. But he directly pays back and destroys those who hate him. He will not hesitate to pay back directly the one who hates him. So keep the command, the statutes and ordinances that I am giving you to follow today. If you listen to and are careful to keep these ordinances, the Lord your God will keep his covenant loyalty with you, as he swore to your fathers. He will love you, bless you, and multiply you. He will bless your offspring, and the produce of your land, your grain, new wine, and fresh oil, the young of your herds, and the newborn of your flocks, in the land he swore to your fathers that he would give you. You will be blessed above all peoples. There will be no infertile male or female among you or your livestock. The Lord will remove all sickness from you. He will not put on you all the terrible diseases of Egypt that you know about, but he will inflict them on all who hate you. You must destroy all the peoples the Lord your God is delivering over to you, and not look on them with pity. Do not worship their gods, for that will be a snare to you. If you say to yourself, "These nations are greater than I, how can I drive them out?" Do not be afraid of them. Be sure to remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and all Egypt. The great trials that you saw, the signs and wonders, the strong hand and outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out. The Lord your God will do the same to all the peoples you fear. The Lord your God will also send hornets against them, until all the survivors and those hiding from you perish. Don't be terrified of them, for the Lord your God, a great and awesome God, is among you. The Lord your God will drive out these nations before you, little by little. You will not be able to destroy them all at once. Otherwise, the wild animals will become too numerous for you. The Lord your God will give them over to you, and throw them into great confusion until they are destroyed. He will hand their kings over to you, and you will wipe out their names under heaven. No one will be able to stand against you. You will annihilate them. Burn up the carved images of their gods. Don't covet the silver and gold on the images and take it for yourself, or else you will be ensnared by it, for it is detestable to the Lord your God. Do not bring any detestable thing into your house, or you will be set apart for destruction like it. You are to abhor and detest it utterly, because it is set apart for destruction. Chapter 8.
Last one.
Carefully follow every command I am giving you today, so that you may live and increase, and may enter and take possession of the land the Lord swore to your fathers. Remember that the Lord your God led you on the entire journey these 40 years in the wilderness, so that he might humble you and test you to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. He humbled you by letting you go hungry. Then he gave you manna to eat, which you and your fathers had not known, so that you might learn that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothing did not wear out, and your feet did not swell these 40 years. Keep in mind that the Lord your God has been disciplining you, just as a man disciplines his son. So keep the commands of the Lord your God by walking in his ways and fearing him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams, springs, and deep water sources, flowing in both valleys and hills, a land of wheat, barley, vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat food without shortage, where you will lack nothing, a land whose rocks are iron, and from whose hills you will mine copper. When you eat and are full, you will bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Be careful that you don't forget the Lord your God by failing to keep his commands, ordinances, and statutes that I am giving you today. When you eat and are full, and build beautiful houses to live in, and your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold multiply, and everything else you have increases, be careful that your heart doesn't become proud, and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. He led you through the great and terrible wilderness, with its poisonous snakes and scorpions, a thirsty land where there was no water. He brought water out of the flint rock for you. He fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers had not known, in order to humble and test you, so that in the end he might cause you to prosper. You may say to yourself, my power and my own ability have gained this wealth for me. But remember that the Lord your God gives you the power to gain wealth, in order to confirm his covenant he swore to your fathers, as it is today. If you ever forget the Lord your God, and follow other gods to serve them, and bow and worship to them, I testify against you today that you will perish. Like the nations the Lord is about to destroy before you, you will perish if you do not obey the Lord your God.
Oh, I'm done. I don't want to.
Chapter 9.
Here we go. Okay. Just give me around, 5-10 minutes. I'll get dressed and I'll be on my other channel. And Ashley, I'll be starting to read this live. I figured 4 pages front and back should do it for one day. They actually suggest you to read, if you're reading a book, read 1 chapter in the morning. No, 2 chapters in the morning and 2 at night. So, I haven't read it yet, so if I go, wow, don't be surprised. My sister had it for a couple of years and then returned it. Because I was about to go and buy a new one, and then she says she's coming and says, you got my book? She goes, oh yeah, I'll put it in my, she put it in her suitcase right then and there. It's good, I don't have to buy it. Okay guys, I will see you in a couple minutes because I want to get dressed, and now I'm cold because my air conditioner's on. I guess I don't need it. Okay everybody, say it with me, Ashley and Angela. A long piece and then out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Peace out.